I think I'm going to go in. This book actually was supposed to be out this month. It's a book called The Wind River Variations. I had the great pleasure of being invited along on a journey, a canoe journey in the Arctic up into the Peel River watershed near the Arctic Circle a few years back. A great program and plan, mostly by CPAWS, to try and save some of our boreal forest, which is getting massacred at an alarming rate, along with the rest of the world, it seems. But the Wind River is one of the truly spectacular places that I've ever encountered in my life. Just unbelievably beautiful and still very, very wild. And we spent several weeks canoeing down this river. And I think I'll read just a couple of poems from this journey. The first one is called, one of the great things, of course, the problem with the Wind River is that it's so beautiful because of the geology. It's sort of like an Arctic version of Utah, of Monument Valley or something, right? And it has just this wild assortment of minerals and rocks, which is, of course, why they want it, right? I mean, there's walls of fossils, 2 or 3 miles long, right? Crystals as big as your head just lying on the ground and so on. Coal that you can just throw it on the fire and burn it. And funny-looking rocks that we never, fortunately, collected, which later turned out to be uranium. But one of of course, now they want to put a pipeline through it and, mine it, and it's all very hopeless. They drove one skid road with a bulldozer through there in 1953, I believe, and you can still see the damage caused by that one bulldozer in a summer, right? So it's a very, very fragile place, but one of the things is these rocks, right? And what happens is, of course, you bring all this food when you go on these long expeditions, and everybody ended up filling up all their bags with rocks, right? So, and the pilot, we asked the pilot, and we were sort of worried by the end, like everybody's heaving these bags of rocks around, right? And he says, don't worry, he said, I always make allowances for the passengers to come back heavier than when they went in, because the people are so fascinated. And what I did, in some kind of moment of intelligence, was found this large glass vase about this big, and a cylindrical vase, and I filled it with water, and you can put bleach in it to keep down algae and stuff, and I put all my rocks in it, so you can actually see how it is with rocks in water, how it brings out the shine and the color in them. And I wrote this poem for this river. And it's called The Stones of the Wind River. This is the land where all the rocks of the world are born, green or dusty desert pastel, galena and glitter, radioactive rocks, crystals larger than the fist of the Gwich'in man who died here 1,000 years ago. This is where the earth gives birth to the stones of the mountains, and they roll down over the wall of fossils, down past the spruce taiga, screes and creeks and rock falls, collected in the riverbed, all the stones of the world, shining beneath our red canoe, every color and every form, greater than human imagination. And when we have blasted it, mined it, polluted it, scavenged the green hills to dust and desert, and the sun finally flames out in its last archangelic blast of energy, this is where, like elephants to their secret grotto, all the rocks of the world will return. This was written after a night of it could get a little thrilling tenting out up there, right? There are lots of wildlife. I saw some amazing things. I actually saw one of our native guides call a caribou right across an entire tundra plain, and he just did it doing this sort of weird, funny dance and wiggling his fingers around his cowboy hat and so on. And by the end of it, he had that caribou so curious it was running on its hind legs with its horns waving, great antlers waving up in the air as it was trying to sniff the air to find out what the hell he was that was calling it, right? Anyways, one night particularly, we slept, we of course always along the riverbank, and we were in this sort of little semi-island area, because the river is always moving around and stuff there, depending on, the seasons and the snow and the melt and all that kind of stuff. And I guess It was a particularly active night, as they say. And so this is more or less based on what my thinking. When I woke up and I got outside my tent and I saw this amazing evidence of the night in the sandy bottom along the riverbank, and it's called Tracking Myself. Leaning down, my palm in the sand, fingers spread, this is the kingdom of dawn. My morning hand tiny against reality, the claw print of a grizzly. I follow it. I follow myself. We all follow. The following is what we follow. A mink danced in the midnight sand, and a fox pursued it. Then an amiable moose with a mind blurred by the sexual goofiness of the approaching season, curious about something only a moose could be curious about, tagged along after the fox. This is the world that walks in beauty. I remember the arctic breath of the night, my fluttering tent, the animals misting the air around me in the sparse willows, leaves upraised like yellow prayer hands, roots suffocating in the reach of the newly arrived river sand, the dune where the animals walk. Their feet walk in beauty, and the memory of the child I was walks in beauty alongside my favorite homing pigeon who loved a little stroll before coming home, the bird that was run over on the road on the 10th day of my dreaming. Once I walked in real beauty. I was the knock on the back door my mother heard. Go away, she said, go around to the front door, not knowing I was bleeding after falling off the swing and watching it come back in slow motion and clunk against my skull. I'm washing the floor, but I'm wandering in my terrible beauty. So I circled around to the front door where this awful, silent child gave her the gift of witnessing a mother's innocent mistake, my head's blood flowing down from my leaky crown. That's when she shrieked, of course. And she still walks in beauty, my beautiful mother. Step on the gray sand of dawn. Another beauty walks there. A wolf followed the moose. A grizzly, curious with event, followed the gestures on the ground. I put my hand in its paw print and learn I am very small. Tracking myself. Child of the East End, street kid, lost one, poor boy who once ate out of dustbins and strutted on the neon streets for money, head pounding with the nail of every year. I'm following a bear that's following a wolf, that's following a very confused moose, that's following a fox, that's following a mink. This is the path of the natural world, a line that goes all in a circle. Well, we're on the subject of beauty. I think I will go back to a more local place for me. I spend a couple of weeks every summer teaching a summer course at UBC. And the few times that I do have an opportunity to be by myself or to occupy myself doing other things, I go down to the beach. And I don't know how many of you know of it, but UBC, the area, Point Grey area of Vancouver, has one of the great beaches of the world, Wreck Beach, which is probably the most famous nude beach in North America. And this poem is called The Wreck. The beautiful bodies remain. It took me 40 years to return to the beach. The stairs enormous now, endless, where once there weren't even stairs. The downward flow towards water and sun, and even more endless the return past the grave beside the trail of the girl who died too young and is celebrated every year by her Wreck Beach family. It's the naked who made this place and held it in the roar of an era when we reached outside of ourselves, naively, goofy, dancing, naked, beautifully naked, clothing optional, as the government would have it. After the fact, on the standardized sign where nudity is equal to dogs and parking and vending. Well, The beach lives beyond the bureaucracy that discovered there were people down there singing their old songs. Margaritas, marijuana, mushrooms, organic juice, sarongs, water, water, water. The crescent of sand boiling with bodies, life in all its variety, attractive and red, fat women, slug-pale men who resembled refugees from Auschwitz, pot-bellied men and women, small-dicked, big-dicked, the man with testicles like bag-dangling oranges, the woman with a shaved bird-wing pussy, the pouch, the cleft, the hairy, the purple panties, small breasts, dangling pricks, the perky, the floppy, the perfect. We're all here, copper-colored, striped, white, scarlet, and painful, the gorgeous and the homely gorgeous, tattooed, pierced, and shining with oil, the knob knees, the six-pack abdomen, the impressively bumpy, shaved skull. This is the body in its variety, clothed and unclothed, and the minds that go with it, the gawkers and the bored, the stoned young men who bought the mushrooms and dived into the mud beside the Canada geese, painted themselves into a savage joke and laughter, watered with a few beer, while their bikini beautiful companions rolled their eyes, displaying the patience of lovers under a hot sun. We must adore the smiles, the truly relaxed, the thick and the misshapen, though not the creep playing with himself until someone asks him to leave, perhaps too politely. The slim, flame-haired woman with tiny breasts and endless legs, all the grace of a dancer. The old, withered couple, even their scars are tanned. Sipping a good wine from crystal they packed for at least a mile. We approach the wreck the way we arrived, naked and lovely to the world.